Everybody, clearing. Okay, this is going to be an eclipse reading, spine of fire, chakra reading on every level here for the counterparts, mind, body, and soul. Let's get into it. Thank you, Divine Creator, for using me as a channel of only the highest, most beneficial information coming through for the beautiful collective that joins me here on this eclipse day. Total solar eclipse. What can we see? I'm going to do 3 cards for the center column, 2 decks for the masculines, and 2 for the feminines. So we can see how these energies are being experienced by each counterpart. What can we see? 2 more decks. Getting there. All right. Awesome. All right. So crown chakra, what are we getting? Mind. Anxiety. Turning around. So this is a calming of anxiety. Let's get into it a little bit more. So connection to source would calm anxiety. Anxiety is when our head and our heart are out of alignment really far, whether that's what we're thinking or what we're subjecting ourselves to. It is a warning sign encoded in our makeup that when we get anxious, we're off track, really far off track, and we just need to bring it back into center. What is the body? Integration, needing more rest. So there is going to be a period of making sense of the changes, the things that the eclipses have illuminated, whatever's been coming to light lately that has to end, that we have to be more proactive or accountable for. Whatever those things are, we're going to be integrating what we've seen going forward. Soul. Peace, healing, gentleness, non-judgment. Again, this is a card of healing. So on the soul level, I just heard repairing eroded auras, repairing disintegrated boundaries, balancing out our own accountability for what we've seen karmically speaking, to bring our lives into our highest timelines, our ascended, aka our most abundant, heart-based ways of living. We're bringing ourselves out of anxiety. We are being asked to really integrate those awarenesses and put them into practical application, and then continuing to foster this gentle, peaceful, healing, non-judgmental way of life. Masculines, how are we seeing that? Wow, Temperance and 7 of Swords. I just did a super quickie daily check-in, and this card came out in it. So masculines, you are healing to the degree that you're starting to see the balance. This is the peace, healing, gentleness, non-judgment. So secretly you have been transforming and becoming more spiritually aware of the past behaviors, the past ways of looking at things that are no longer serving. So you are getting these hints dropped. That was the message in the super quickie, was that the masculines have been dropping these playful hints at their progress to you, feminines. They still have things to balance out in their lives because of this healing that's happened. The standards are rising. The anxiety is being released by actually making changes to each their own, more awareness, more acceptance. But they are tipping the feminines off right now to some of those things that have been transpiring. And feminines, oh wow, okay, blame. I accept responsibility for my well-being. And here's the King of Wands. So feminines, you might be misinterpreting your masculines at this time because you might be feeling like you've had to go it alone. You might not be picking up on some of their cues, some of these seeds they're planting about who they're becoming and the changes that have been happening on their side of the energy. If you're thinking that this process is about a romantic relationship first and foremost, and about how they're showing up and why they're not showing up, and where's the love for you outside of yourself, you're missing a lot of the transformation that's going on. You might be feeling, because of what's come to light over the eclipses, that there's a backsliding and not as much progress as is really here, because the masculines are not spelling it out in its entirety, or, you know, coming forward fully right now. You might be thinking you're the only one whose masculine might not be up to par, or you might have gotten it wrong. This energy is saying, don't blame. Consider there could be another interpretation. Rest. Take yourself out of harm's way. Focus on the things you need to focus on. Continue fostering your own healing process, and let your masculine be a little bit secondary to your own rite of passage right now, your own ability to implement the things that this eclipse, well, really since the Virgo full moon, but this eclipse season has been bringing a lot of things to light for the feminines as well, to get going in their own lives. So instead of focusing on the masculines, your ego might be telling you to redirect to yourself. Whenever you get blame or victim or those kinds of things, you are being asked. That's like your ego's way of saying, remove your focus from that and change something there. If that person's making you feel imbalanced, or you've got some big feelings going on there that don't feel comfortable, focus back on self. The ego tries to keep us safe, so it tries to talk in other terms, but really it's just reminding you to handle what you are able to address, and let anybody who's in a sovereign motion that doesn't include you at this time go through what they need to go through. So we're not making the masculines the bad guys here. We're removing that anxiety that comes in by unhooking from, letting go of the need to control or blame, and really redirecting here. So that's being guided. If you're struggling with that, feminines, it's time to go to higher guidance for understanding, get more rest, meditate more on this, really look at, is your masculine actually at fault, or are your expectations or attachments causing you control issues in some shape or form? Because you don't have ownership or control over another human being. But if you're on this journey, that might be coming up for clearing right now. That might be one of the eclipse energy aha moments that you can continue to come into receptivity rather than masculine mode, the doing or chasing. Okay, interesting, because the masculines are showing up in these playful ways. If you can see what they are doing here, it may not be full go time, but there are energetic and real world indicators nonetheless. Okay, what can we see for the third eye, mind, body, and soul? So perseverance, working towards a goal, really looking at the past intuitively to see how to take instruction from what has happened to move things forward more productively. There is a humbling going on right now. So this healing process and self-accountability, being responsible for our own well-being, this is a deep, putting down the struggle. Strength can be, ego. It can also be dropping that ego and having radical acceptance and peace come in, that we aren't meant to do too much. We aren't meant to keep banging our head against a brick wall. Sometimes that doesn't mean we're being rejected. It just means that it's not appropriate timing for whatever reason that we might be needing to focus elsewhere. But what is the energetic? Star body matrix, multidimensional consciousness, holographic information. So this is a collective motion right now. So don't get all upset that you might be the only one going through these sorts of things. It's a major restructuring across the whole planet where we're all taking a look at these things on a personal level. So collectively, as we all make these changes that are brought up in each of these revolutions, where cycles within cycles, layer upon layer, but we're all in it together. And so it's about taking a deep breath, allowing what is within your accountability to be handled to the best you can, and just trusting that everybody else is all going through this at the same time in their own way. And together we are making such a huge difference. How are the masculines experiencing this? Ooh, they're coming out of separation with passion here. So this is the most phallic card in the deck. It's also the soul spark of purpose. I've often said on my YouTube channel, mostly a year or so ago, I got a whole wave of readings that were talking about how the masculines will not fully become monogamous until they know themselves well enough to step into service. That monogamy truly goes hand in hand with that level of awareness that also fosters service. And so there is a shared mission here. For the divine counterparts I read for, a lot of the mission, the purpose, the gift and contribution into the world is these true love connections that will be showing and modeling new ways of loving that are actually harmonious and monogamous, true, righteous, authentic, not forced or contrived, but inspired. This is a card of inspiration. So the masculines, you're getting out of this separation because you're truly attracted, you're truly inspired, you've truly seen your feminine on a soul level. That's bringing you out of feeling like you have to pretend or fight for something that isn't warranted. You're really looking at the past to affirm that this is indeed different than anything else that you've experienced, and it actually warrants your full commitment. Beautiful. And for the feminines, wow, indecision and the devil. I use my intuition in all aspects of my life. Your intuition is telling you, feminines, that these intense magnetic pull that you have for your masculine, there's something more to it than just something to make you feel like this whole life is a trick and a joke. This is literally the sexual chemistry, the signs, the synchronicities, all the messages that you're getting that this person is your person that are hard to make sense of. Your intuition here is helping you overcome the feeling that this is a bad thing and to really look at the blessing in that, or to take the confusion out of it. I use my intuition in all aspects of my life. So also, this can be obsession. So this might be a little bit of a cue to sort of begin calming some of the sexual obsession or the 5D obsession and really focus 360 degrees in your life. There are things going on in your life that you need to be more focused and practical about, real world circumstances. The Strength card shows up when we overcome the devil. So this is a deep internal knowing where you're in balance and where you're not, where you're continuing to give too much focus to your masculine and where you do need to make some real world decisions and use your intuition that doesn't hinge on whether your masculine is there or not in a certain capacity or not. Really trusting that it's all happening the way it needs to, but that there are some decisions that you do need to make that are simply you choosing what's best for you without having to factor in your counterpart. What is good for you is good for your counterpart, your true aligned one. What is good for you is good for the whole of the cosmos. When your balance is struck appropriately internally, it emanates out and gives everything else permission to fall into harmony around you. You're creating your reality. This is how we get heaven on earth, is we all come into that, I heard Om tone within us. It is an illusion, I'm hearing also, that our whole life and our whole inspiration depends on that other person. So if you are sliding into that obsessive energy about your person, really bring it back to a meditation on what else is there in your life that you need to be balanced with and focusing on at this time. Feminines. Yeah, so these eclipses, I'm getting another message. These eclipses where the sun is pulled away from the moon for the lunar eclipse and some real world things come in between the two for clearing. That is designed to highlight where there's been an imbalance so that it can balance out. So everybody has seen some of these 2 extra kind of energies so that we can have another level of peace and healing and gentleness and non-judgment come in. So forgive yourself for anything that's come up. The cosmos are designed to put us through this process, this evolutionary process. We sign up for it when we incarnate here. But where did we come from? How did we get here? What is this? Where are we going? What is it all for? Okay, back to this reading. Throat chakra, mind, body, and soul. There's the eclipse. So prior to the eclipse, we've had differing vantage points. We are on this eclipse energy right now where we're seeing this same, but different. This is the contrast, the fire, the union. It is one thing, the eclipse, but it is the sun and the moon, and those are polar opposites. So we're learning that differences of view and circumstance and opinion can create this very rare and celestial, cosmic kind of appreciation. So on the mind, there seems to be a very harmonious way of looking at things right now that solves the impasse energies, that sees the heart, that is on the same team, that includes the counterpart instead of excludes or polarizes. It becomes something of benefit rather than a challenge. Body, Knight of Cups. So there might be a little bit of an increase of a magnetic pull towards each other right now, but with heart and soul, with emotions. I am getting sort of a sensual vibe here where there's a desire to have closeness and intimacy here, but that it's more intuitive. What is the soul level? Alchemy, metamorphosis, and karmic completion, seal of fulfilled transformation. So there's something that has culminated with this eclipse that looks like the counterparts are feeling more of a genuine, authentic heart pull to each other. How are the masculines experiencing this? This is on the communication. So we might find that languaging, messages have a different quality going forward, a little bit more depth coming in. Masculines, the sun and judgment. Wow, they've seen the light. They've seen the light. So here comes the sun. Like literally, here's the masculine showing who they are, expressing themselves, not being afraid to be different than the feminine, not being afraid of being attacked or misunderstood, but now showing the feminine who they really are. The masculines are seeing that it's more valuable to express that than to hide it, that it doesn't foster trust if it's hidden out of insecurity or skepticism or whatever the reasoning being that was karmic that's now been balanced. The masculines are more free to show the world and the feminine who they truly are. What are the feminines dealing with here? Three of Wands and Pride. I love myself and I see myself in everyone. So feminines are more open to seeing the masculine. There's a sense of protection coming in with the masculine revealing more of who they are to the feminine. Instead of feeling like you have to keep things under wrap for fear of causing your feminine to think that you're weak, this is now strength in being able to be vulnerable and transparent. And now the feminines can see how much more aligned you are, or how aligned you've always been, but it can be more evident to your true feminine counterpart. And feminines are also going to be taking pride, because you know more and more clearly going forward that your masculine wasn't rejecting you. They were rejecting themselves by hiding some information or some aspects or their emotions or their strategies, because they didn't feel confident enough that they could be themselves on those levels or admit that they had certain concerns or perspectives. And so now feminines are able to really honor themselves more deeply, as a reflection of you honoring yourselves more deeply, masculines. What can we see for the heart space? A need to integrate and heal, to sit in meditation and possibly prayer, to consciously invite deeper understanding. So I'm very much getting more focused, asking for higher guidance with a heart-centered intention, universal understanding, objective observation. So there is a unity conscious desire here to really know on the heart what the truth is. I just saw 2222 on the counter. How are the masculines experiencing this? 6 of Wands, 6 of Pentacles, both in the inverse. So deep within the heart, masculines, there's an invitation here to really look at what equal give and take is, and what that happy medium is between knowing your truth and also allowing in compliments and accolades and adoration. Masculines haven't been receptive to their feminine. They've been keeping the feminine at bay because their own inner feminine has not been receptive to the love, the softness, the feel good, the nurture, the gentleness, the love that's available here. They didn't have it to give, so they couldn't also receive. So masculines, yeah, there's a big picture here that you don't have to just be in one mode of operation and be manly or masculine all the time. You can literally also allow for that soft, more feminine side of you to be nurtured and protected and cared for and cherished and adored. You don't have to just be in one or the other. Yes, we do need polarization, but we don't have to just be that one thing all the time. So this is about learning to go between those aspects. A lot of time, karmic partners. I'm just seeing the 4 of Swords here and how sometimes there's third parties. I'm seeing that for this collective, largely those third parties are gone and healing past that. So a lot of decisions are being made to release. But when we're specializing in a particular lesson, we tend to get into connections or karmic interactions with people that really pinpoint a specific theme or angle. And so once those specialized lessons are learned, that karmic partner can be released, because it's karmic because it's so focused on one thing too, in part. And divine alignments are broad spectrum and able to meet in a complete and whole, healed, vast, infinite array of ways. So yeah, this is masculines indicating that you've got all the information you need now to give and receive love. You don't need it to be externally recognized, but you're also now much more able to take that recognition without it causing weirdness, without it throwing you into fear, either from your feminine or from other options that might represent sexual tension or competition, or what is that word, threats. So this is where you can know and also receive and handle your responses and actions appropriately and trustworthy, so that you're not swayed by external feedback. Wow, but it's all been your friend to get you to this place of fidelity and maturity. What can we see on this heart space for the feminines? Oh, the King of Swords and balance. I bring a state of perfect harmony to my world, and I do so without judgment. So this is the action-taking, decision-making aspect of the inner masculine. We just got a lot of that feminine softness coming in for the masculines. Now this is the feminines being definitive and setting bell tone clarity for life, so that there's a framework to bring harmony in. So feminines, you're doing this in your life 360 degrees, but that is also creating a safe container for yourself to be free and clear to pursue the things that you know are your truth, that sit well with your soul. So continue meditating on those things and really looking at the big picture, so that you can understand what those decisions are step by step here, that ring true with your heart. What can we see on the solar plexus chakra? Mind and body. So free will and surrendering to the love. I'm hearing this quote that I often say: one day it became more painful to remain in the bud than to blossom. So the coast is clearing. It's becoming time to open the heart and to make empowered steps towards living that life. The heart is awake. Love, innocence, and reverence. So you do have a lot of information here to be choosing the path of blessing, the path of beauty, the path of righteousness, the path of truth, following what your heart is so innocently and truthfully telling you is the right way to go. This is sort of dropping the overthinking and knowing, dropping into the knowing, surrendering to the knowing. It's putting down the uncertainty, not needing to know how it's all going to work out, but knowing if you make the choice based on what truly resonates and feels right, that it will work out. How are the masculines navigating this? The Lovers and Death, both in the inverse. So there is a major overhaul about dropping the guard and opening the heart and seeing the love and trust available here. There is a softening, a receiving, a aligning motion going on here, masculines, where you're opening your heart to this connection. It's now more empowering to come together and to align than to stay at bay. The transformation hasn't been fully completed, but this is saying that it's going to be more beneficial to do this with a conscious love and to open your heart to that conscious love with your counterpart. That part of these next stages will be done together rather than apart. What can we see for the feminines? The Chariot and humor. So there is a forward motion here. Humor comes in and really sees the wisdom in things that might have been a stalemate or confusing or skeptical. This can be like you might be seeing red flags, but if you use humor to acknowledge them, that it doesn't become a drama, that you can see the lighthearted aspects of it, you can see the learning in it and be in non-attachment rather than having your ego bruised or feeling guarded or feeling like you can't move forward for fear you'll be hurt. There's something about seeing it for what it is rather than being afraid that it's going to continue. You know, when we acknowledge lessons, they don't have to repeat. And so if we bring in some humor, we're very likely to remember the lesson, because humor is when we see the light, we see the new way of seeing something. It's hard to forget when we actually bring that genuine aha moment in. So yeah, the way to move this forward is to see the light, the lighter side of the lessons, and not wallow or dwell in any of the pain with it, but to really look for the ironic or the paradoxical or the truth that sets you free and kind of makes you smile. What can we see for the sacral chakra? A new beginning. Wow, okay, so this transformation, there's the death energy, birth, death, rebirth cycle. We're in the death, in the throes of the old being released and the new coming in. On the mind, there is this curiosity about what the next cycle will bring with the counterparts and what this transformation is doing on the body, on the physical level. So that can be in our physical worlds. That could be a lot of changes that we're seeing happen in the physical based on the things that need to be released so that the new ways can actually come in. It's like it's already been set in motion, but we're not seeing it fully here yet in the physical because we're making way for it by making physical changes at this time to make room for this kind of sacred, sexual, intimate union to come in so that it's wholehearted on both counterparts' behalf, and that it's not just taking scraps, that it's more of a completion. Storage, time released, and focus force, so it can be focused on the way that it deserves between the two so that the energies aren't spread too thin. How are the masculines navigating this sacral becoming? Oh, wow, Union and Tower, they're having major revelations. I literally heard that the masculines are realizing it's never been that they haven't been attracted to their feminine. It's been timings and circumstance. And as the light at the end of the tunnel is illuminating, there's a lot of clarity coming in for the masculines that they've loved you all along and in very specific ways, feminines. So yeah, masculines, you are seeing this foundation. It's like it's suddenly dawning on you that the time you've been waiting for is approaching. That the desire to be in sacred union with this incredible counterpart is really being made available. It's happening. These changes are dawning on you. It's like you're feeling it deep rumbling within your soul that it's different. It's becoming time. Wow. Time release. It's like the moment you've been hoping for is starting to actually show up, masculines. Your perseverance, your knowing, your consistency. You know, the masculine is the sun, the feminine is the moon. The sun is an annual, the moon is a monthly. So the masculines have a greater consistency or a more patient energy in general, a greater vantage point. The sun is higher up in the sky than the moon. And so the masculine can survey from a different perspective and can see things coming, whereas the feminine might have been more confused at certain times. This is saying that the masculines have known with more surety certain aspects of this connection, and they're starting to see those long ago known things that would have to happen for this connection to come into being. They're starting to see that actually transpire, and it's shaking them up inside. It's catalyzing them. What are the feminines seeing? The Five of Swords again, and trust. I accept that my inner voice will always guide me correctly. So this is that deep intuitive energy that is the High Priestess, but also feminines learning to discern when you're inventing ego stories of fear and when it's accurate. So you're learning how to trust, how to read your own inner voice, how to tell the difference between the things that really sit well with your soul, that are true, and the things that you invent or create. There is a confirmation in this energy that certain things that you believe to be true, that you had no rational way of proving, are starting to also come into fruition. And that things that you feared were true but didn't sit well with your soul, those things are being eliminated. But it is up to you to keep teasing out truth from fiction here and staying with it, because this hasn't fully grounded yet into the physical, but you're going to start seeing and feeling changes, and you're going to attune to the truth and the accuracy of what your inner voice tells you more and more as these things come into reality more and more. And this is on the sacral chakra, so that's our pleasure center. So that means following your bliss and staying with your manifestation while you're being guided by what feels good and right and true, and leaving the things that feel off or undesirable or bad to you. What can we see on the root chakra? Soulmates and love. So on the mind, there's this healing. On the body, there's this perfect match kind of energy. And we get quantum continuator, self-sustaining systems, fluidity, and abundance. Perfect match. We are both becoming so accountable for ourselves that we can show up without agenda. So we can show up without trauma bonding. So we can just show up in this alignment with each other. What can we see for the masculines? Nine of Pentacles and Page of Cups. They don't feel single from you, feminines. They're really beginning to surrender to you being their empress in the garden, waiting for their advance. They see you there. They see you standing on the horizon. It's like they're gathering themselves to come forward, is what I got. How are the feminines? Surrender. I can release my need to control. And King of Cups. So you don't have to control your emotions. You don't have to pretend you don't have them. You don't have to hurt yourself. If you have emotions, you don't have to tell yourself you're weak. Feminines. You also don't have to be overly emotional. You can just simply not have emotional temper tantrums. You can get yourself sorted, and you can validate the love. You can own the love that you are. You can allow yourself to feel love. A lot of the times when we go into over emotionality, it's because we're denying or resisting the love we feel, or telling ourselves or rejecting it, that we don't deserve it, or we don't have it, or it's not available to us. And we're in a little bit of an emotional temper tantrum, which is a need to control. So surrendering that and just allowing your emotions to be there and to inform you of your truth at any given time, and not putting that on others. With this self-sustaining system, feminines, this is about you taking full ownership and accountability for your feelings and not being reckless with that, and just allowing them to be what they are to inform you. Your emotions are your friends, and you're very wise. So yeah, this is beautiful. So when you least suspect it, when you least truly need somebody else to balance you out, that's when you get somebody who can really be there with you. Okay, one last couple cards. Actually, I'm just going to do one more food for thought. What can we see for my viewers? Clarity. Be your own healer. That was kind of the message for the feminines. You don't need your masculine to heal you. You have everything you need within you and your connection to source to come into healing, so you can celebrate with your masculine, so you can take on the world together, so you can innovate, so you can play, so you can get out of your own way and not make a division between you and your person, and you can be much more dynamic with your person than at odds with. And masculines, you are seeing that you don't have to go it alone, that you don't have to be too tough, too stoic, too rigid. Honor the passing of time. I'm hearing masculines making jokes about being rigid and saying, what if we want to be rigid? Wink, wink. Accept earthly mortality. Celebrate immortal spirit. Connect to the land. So we're getting beyond the mortality. So we're loving the souls of each other. We're not so much thinking about, aging or age differences or the time this journey has taken or how much time we'll still have with each other. This is really seeing the divine, the eternity in each other, and celebrating the immortal spirit, celebrating the essence of each other, the true connection. And it says connect to land. So you might be spending time in nature with your person coming up to ground, to connect, to balance, to root. I'm hearing for some there will be a ceremony or even a rite of passage where there can be some kind of sharing together in a more natural, organic way, a more honoring and grounded way. I wish that for everyone. Okay, much love, everyone. Bye for now.